From all of us here at the Battle Bridge podcast, I'd like to say a sincere thank you to the guys at Champion Card Collector, a gaming store in Red Oaks Mills. Its address is 43 County Road 77, which is also known as Vassar Road, in Poughkeepsie, New York, 12603. Please check them out. They really helped us out when our original venue moved its location and couldn't be open in time. Thanks again, guys. It was awesome, and you guys were great.
Computer, access file Sierra Tango Alpha Whiskey Bravo Bravo 06.
Security clearance level 3 or above is required to access files. Security authorization accepted. Program complete. Enter when ready.
Hello and welcome to the Battle Bridge podcast episode number 6, our debriefing discussion of the Unsanctioned Northeast Regional event featuring the obstacle scenario. It's time for us to introduce ourselves and answer the question, what character or characters or items from Star Trek are you waiting to see as cards in Attack Wing?
Hi, my name is Danish, and I guess, I think the character that I think I'm surprised is not in Attack Wing yet, and I think it's an obvious miss and needs to be in Attack Wing, is Ambassador Sarek, Spock's father. I think he should be an Attack Wing card pronto. I think that's an important one. But I'll tell you, if I was getting sort of my dream card, sort of my silly dream, it would be Mott the Barber from Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Hi, my name is Chris. I have several answers for this as well. So, the episode where there were junior officers playing poker.
Oh, yeah, Lower Decks.
I want those three, Tarek, Cito Jaxa, and Sam Lavelle. And then, I'm sure no one else would think of this in this group anyway, is an elite talent or tech upgrade. It might be tech. The game Chula from the DS9 episode that everyone hates, Move Along Home.
Oh my god.
Because I actually like that episode.
You're a wacko.
I know.
Hi. I'm Pete. I guess it's my turn now. I was trying to think of a card that I'd like. Character-wise, maybe Rom. Quark's brother.
Right, we have a mirror Rom, but we don't have a Prime Universe Rom.
Oh, do they? Oh, I didn't realize that. Ship-wise, I'd still like to see the Dreadnought out there from the movie. I just don't know when they're going to get around to those.
Yeah.
Well, my name is Ryan. I actually have two answers. My guilty pleasure card would actually be Morn.
Morn.
Both because the character itself, as DS9 developed, became an incredibly developed character with a rich backstory that I really would like to see. You could do many things, I think, with card text on that. But I actually did some thinking, and mechanically, I think I'd like to see Kess from Season 3 of DS9. As much as I dislike her character in general, I think that it would be a pretty interesting card. It's basically Warp Jump for 5-point discard. You discard the card before you move to remove all tokens from your ship and your ship from the play area during the end phase. Place it anywhere on the playing area, not within range 1/3 of any other ship. But in addition, suffer 1 damage to your hull, because if you remember that episode toward the end of Season 3 there, she was basically destroying the ship with her crazy telepathic, telekinetic crazinesses.
Way to go.
You said Kess?
Kess, yeah.
Kess.
Oh, from Voyager.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I thought you said DS9. Sorry.
Morn is DS9. I might have said Kess was DS9. I don't remember now.
No, you said Kess was Voyager. You're good.
I'm sorry.
All right, well, let's take a look at the fleets that each of us played at the event. First off, in alphabetical order by first name is my fleet, Danish's fleet. The fleet that I ran, first it had the Bellerophon. Bellerophon was my main ship, captained by Robert DeSoto. The crew was Sulu from the USS Enterprise and Riker to make it a less hittable ship. I took systems upgrade and dorsal phaser array. I also ran the USS Enterprise A, captained by Mr. Spock. The crew was Elizabeth Shelby, Jennifer Sisko, Worf, the 5-point Worf, I had multi-adaptive shields and upgraded phasers, trying to make the Enterprise A harder to hit with multi-adaptive shields and Worf and Shelby. I also ran first wave attack fighters. That's the Dominion fighters with the Galor class phaser banks, giving me range 3 and +1 attack dice. And I ran the co-pilot resource. So that was my fleet. Next in order is Chris, and Chris's fleet started with the Defiant NCC 1764, captained by the evil Gul Madred. The crew was Lee Nallis, and of course the two of them together were a potent combination. William T. Riker from the Pegasus was also on the crew, Type 8 phaser array, and upgraded phasers. He also ran the USS Enterprise A, captained by Jean-Luc Picard. The crew was Deanna Troi and Jennifer Sisko, as well as Sekona. Sekona let him take Type 8 phaser array and upgraded phasers more cheaply, as well as he took enhanced hull plating, which wound up bugging me to no end. Lastly, Chris took the Kumari, captained by Captain Carr. The talent was faked messages and also lure. He had Odo on there from Deep Space Nine and the Type 8 phaser array. No resources for a total of 130 points. Notice that what Chris is doing is he's adding firepower to each ship. With Gul Madred and Lee Nallis, he's going after captains. With Jennifer Sisko and Deanna Troi, he's going after other stuff. And with fake messages and lure, he's ganking his opponent's fleets. So it's a fleet that does a whole lot with the cards that it has. Looking next at Pete's fleet. Pete decided to run Kazon. So his fleet consisted of the Halleck Raider, captained by Jabin, the crewmen Hallez and Lorum. Those names sound to me a whole lot like prescription medications. The weapons that he had on there were photonic charges and variable yield charges. He also took the Nistrum Raider, captained by Captain Reddick, the Nistrum Culla, captained by Culla, crewed by Carden, with a particle beam weapon on board. And finally, his fourth ship, the Relora Sankur, captained by Surat, crewed by Seska, and with an aft torpedo launcher. For a total of 36 points. Fleet total 130 points, no resource. Finally, Ryan's fleet, we're also going to talk through here. Ryan's fleet, where are you, Ryan? Here's Ryan's fleet. Ryan took the ISS Enterprise, captained by Jonathan Archer. His weapon was phaser barrage on that ship. He took the Orasan, captained by Degra, with Admiral Kiafat Abensour. Trellium D was his tech, and he took pulse-firing particle cannon. Thirdly, he took the Kumari, captained by Thalek Shan. I tell you, between playing Ryan and playing Chris, both of them running the Kumari, I really gained a lot of respect for that ship. It's a fantastic ship, and I now want to add it to my collection. USS Enterprise was Ryan's fourth ship, captained by Mr. Spock. His weapon was photon torpedoes. So yeah, that was Ryan's fleet. He also took co-pilot resource for a fleet total of 129 points. So those were the fleets that we all ran. Let's see, who else we have here? Robert. We have Robert's fleet. Let's see, where's that? Robert was a first-time player and first-time OP player, and his fleet consisted of 3 Xindi ships and a Romulan. He took the Marathas, captained by Dolam. The talent was Thalen. His crew was the insectoid raiding party. He had the thermal chamber on board as a tech and 2 weapons, particle beam weapon and Xindi torpedoes, for a total of 43 points. Robert took the Xindi Diaspora as his second ship, captained by Degra, with phase deflector pulse and pulse firing particle cannon for 32 points. He also took the Orasan, captained by the insectoid commander. Talent was Xindi Council, and the weapon was Xindi torpedoes for a total of 30 points. And to make up the last 2 points on his fleet, he took the IRW Vortavor, captained by Teref, with aft disruptor emitters, fleet total of 129 points. And my son, Timothy, ran the USS Excelsior, captained by Jean-Luc Picard, with the Picard maneuver as his talent. He took Dmitry Valtain and Mirror Rom, as well as the Enterprise E version of William T. Riker, and the positron beam. It was a chunky ship with 50 points. That made it actually the big target for anybody who was playing against him. He also took the USS Thunderchild, captained by Hazer, with also Hikaru Sulu from the Bounty as his crew member. He took photon torpedoes and rapid reload. Finally, his last ship was the Traeger, captained by Gulmasset, with concentrated firepower and aft weapons array. Those three ships together made a fleet total of 130 points. And those were the fleets that flew at the unofficial, unsanctioned Northeastern Regional event featuring obstacles.
I was worried going up against everybody who I played against in this one. Speaking of going up against people, Ryan?
Well, we had 3 tables for each of our rounds because we had 6 people total, which if you were listening to all of our fleets and counting along at home, that is what 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 is. +1. Almost wasn't because I only did 5 + 1s the first time.
Do I have to fire the revolver up in the air to prove? No?
I saw that Mythbusters. It doesn't end well for the bullet.
Well, no, I was referring to Clue.
I know what you're thinking, punk. Did we discuss 5 fleets or 6?
That was, I think, okay, I'm just going to go on because it's not going to get any better than that. Okay,
No.
So in round 1, I played Robert. This was his very first OP, and this was his very first time really playing the game outside of having played it with Timothy. However, I was very impressed. He knew the game very well, and he was quite prepared to come in. I just don't think that he was quite prepared for the variety of fleets he saw. But this being his first OP, I didn't want to go too hard on him. I'm glad I chose this particular fleet instead of what I had termed my mean fleet, which has a couple of deadly surprises in it that I won't go into publicly. But still, the dice rolls were just not going in his favor. I mean, I chose original series era ships and earlier. That's what I limited myself to when I was putting this fleet together. I wanted to have fun, and I didn't want people who were playing against me to not have fun. I don't know that Robert had fun anyway, though.
Yeah, we actually saw half of us had original or earlier fleets as our ships. It was you, myself, and Robert. We were all flying ships that were only TNG or earlier. No, not TNG. Original
TOS.
series movies. Yeah, TOS or earlier.
Yeah, and I tried to limit myself. I didn't want to do the movies either. Myself the very first movie with the refit, so that's just the way it is. But the dice rolls were just not going in his favor. There were a number of times where he was certainly going to kill one of my ships, and the dice he would roll blanks or I would roll the correct number of evades, and he just couldn't get the job done, unfortunately. But it was also hard with the weapons that I'd chosen, and I had quite a bit of bonuses to my attacks. I was able to make extra attacks every turn, or almost every turn at the very least, and having co-pilot for those battle stations really helped keep me on top. I do think he pretty much readily learned that I enjoy maneuvering, because there were several times he was looking at my ships, and I would be like, as he said, millimeters away from another ship or an obstacle or something, and he'd just sort of be kind of dumbfounded at it. So that was kind of neat.
Yeah.
But it ended up being a very lopsided win. I did fleet kill him, and he, although he got 3 of my ships down to 1 hit point, he wasn't able to take any of them down. So,
Wow.
It was a pretty lopsided win, though, with me having a fleet kill and getting 130 points, and unfortunately Robert not being able to take down any of my ships, though 3 of them were at 1 hit point at the end of the game. Chris, and Pete, you were also in the first round and had a pretty lopsided bout, it looked like. How did that go?
Well, we were discussing this a little bit earlier. Apparently, I keep focusing on the wrong ship when I attack.
Yeah, if I put enhanced hull plating on a ship, it's like a laser pointer to a cat for Pete. I just move that ship around, and he follows it and tries to blow it up, and it never does. And I take his ships apart with my other stuff. I had a control and ganking fleet style, and my goal was to direct one ship out of combat so I could focus on the rest and blow them up piecemeal that way. The problem with the Kazon, the problem for me was the 180 firing arc, which meant that even though I turned him away from combat, Pete was able to attack. And
ineffectually, but attack.
Well, you got 6 damage onto the Enterprise A before I was able to use the enhanced hull plating to keep it alive. And it survived only because I had that. And once I got your bigger ships out of the way, you weren't rolling enough dice really to get through.
No. Yeah, that native 2 on the smaller Kazon is really
it hampers their attacks.
But it wasn't a bad game. I maneuvered well. We did use.
I think you used a derelict ship once.
Yes, I did to remove
one round away from having to fly through an obstacle, but I was able to blow up your last ship before that happened. So,
I really feel like the obstacles didn't particularly come as much into play as most of us were thinking. I was not planning on trying to take advantage of them to begin with. I was more thinking about flying around them instead, and that's kind of how it went. But
I mean, for me, they were there to mess with the movement. I didn't choose the space station because I didn't feel that the 3 attack dice would do anything. But I knew that the debris field would interfere with movement choices because you don't want to take that automatic damage.
Mm-hmm.
And then the defense bonus came into play, but I don't recall. I know it happened, but I don't remember when, because that wasn't one of the ones like, aha, I used it. It was there. I think that was against Timothy that it came into play. Other than that, I mean, I like this scenario because of them and the choices that it forced you to make.
Yeah, it was fun.
Their specific impact. Yeah.
I managed to avoid flying through any of the obstacles in all 3 of the rounds, with the one exception of when we fought Pete in the 3rd round. And at that time, I had made the decision to fly through it so that I could finish off your last ship. And that was like, okay.
Yes, that's right. And you rolled and you got nothing, no damage.
Yeah, but that's okay. Onward and upward. Excelsior.
Speaking of the Excelsior.
Danish, how did your first battle go against Timothy?
My first battle against Timothy went very well for me. Timothy got 1 point from me because I had a 129-point fleet, but otherwise I took everything that he had. I fought Timothy. He was running the Excelsior. That was my first target. Was able to take it out fairly quickly. The Thunderchild and the Thunderchild and the Traeger were a little bit harder and took me a little longer, but in the end, I was able to come away unscathed.
Now, if I remember hearing correctly, you did forget something.
Well, when I was playing Timothy, it didn't occur to me that I actually did have a dorsal phaser array.
Well, I thought that was the one where you forgot to use your Jennifer Sisko.
Oh, that's right. No, you're right. Yeah, good point. I actually didn't use either one. I didn't use Jennifer Sisko or my dorsal phaser array in that game.
Man,
I'd forgotten.
I just gotta keep my mouth shut in events. Dang it!
Forgot everything that was good about my fleet. I forgot. But I was still able to win. So that's God favors the foolish, right?
So in the first round, we had Ryan with a win, Danish with a win, and Chris with a win.
All 3 fleet kills.
All 3 were fleet kills.
That
For
was
round,
not the case.
oh,
Second
sorry,
round.
no, it was not actually, and that was Danish. You and I played a match that was really close, actually.
That was a nail biter. Yeah.
Even like right down to the end, it was a nail biter, and it went pretty funnily, or funnily went pretty funny. One of those is word, the other one is not. You get to decide. It's like a game. So I was particularly worried about this Mathrop Danish. You had your Enterprise A with all those goodies on it, really, and then the unhittable Bellerophon, which, although in retrospect, if I had focused on that initially, I probably would have been able to do a little bit better. I might have been able to take it out because of the multiple attacks and all that, but I don't know. So I wanted to take out your ability to hit me first. So I focused on your Enterprise A and your fighters, but had a pretty stupid moment when I foolishly chose a red maneuver on the Kumari while it had an Ox Power token on it, and I was within range one of the western edge of the board. So Danish, you chose to have me fly your 2 left, and sure enough,
I gotta say, that's the kind of thing you don't like doing that, but you gotta do it. And truth is also though, and I hate to admit this, but if you had performed a red maneuver with an Ox Power token, I probably would not have noticed given the state I was in. I missed everything else. I played the entire game or most of the game without using my dorsal phaser array even.
You
so
didn't
I might
even
not
use
have
it
noticed.
for our whole. This is the second round now, and you still. And I even asked you specifically, do you have an ability to shoot 360? Because I wanted to know if I could come up behind you or not. And you even looked at your cards. You were like, no, it's the Bellerophon. It's not Voyager. So.
Yeah, I asked you about it. But you said, I had to put Jennifer Sisko on. I'm like, okay.
I'm just glad I remembered a Cisco in the second round. But what I'm trying to point out here is that Ryan is a man of such integrity that even though I would have missed it, Ryan's not going to let that go. So Ryan brought it to my attention that he had an Ox Power token and could not choose a red maneuver, but he had. And so he lost the Kumari as a result of his blasted Vulcan sense of honor.
Those are very nice words, Danish. I appreciate that. Thank you. It puffed me up. I'm not going to be able to fit through the doorway.
Well, and that's one thing I found with our entire gaming group is that we are all we do our best to be very honest about how
we want to win, but we want everyone to have fun.
Yeah, and we don't want to win like dishonestly. We want it to, it's important that when we win, that it's legit.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. So, Chris, you did win. Speaking of which, when you played Timothy, how did that go?
Yes, I got revenge for the drive OP.
The last OP.
Yeah. So, again, I split off one of his ships, so he couldn't attack me with it. But he was able to use his concentrated or focused firing talent, I think, from the Trager to actually take out one of my ships before I took out any of his.
Yeah.
He blew up the Defiant NCC 1764, I think, in the first round of firing.
Yeah, that's my understanding.
And then I took out the Excelsior because Picard, of course. Well, actually, what I did with the Defiant is I made him discard Picard. But the dice weren't on my side in this, so I wasn't able to blow that ship up before he was able to fire with his ships. The one that took me the longest to take away from him was the Thunderchild because of -1 attack die when he was near the obstacles due to his captain. Yeah,
right.
He had a good build.
I got to say about Timothy is that one of the things that Timothy did that none of the rest of us did was make a build that took advantage of the obstacles.
Yes.
I mean, I think we all had builds that were good for this scenario, but Timothy really took the time to make this build take advantage of the obstacles.
I didn't get to play against him. How was he able to do that?
His captain, he had a Bajoran captain that when you were in range, when the ship was in range one of an obstacle, attacks against that ship were at -1 attack die.
Oh wow.
Huh. That's
so
cool.
he kind of hung close to the obstacles. But the thing that he did that, I mean, I can understand why. He built expecting me to play certain cards that I didn't play.
Right.
And I can understand that, like, Cloaked Minds, and that was the one he mentioned specifically, are scary, but you can't make a build that's so focused on, well, one person might play this that I have to build towards that, or I might see this one card. I think his choice for Rom, and I think the Dispersion, or one of the other cards, on his Excelsior, could have been spent better on other things.
He wanted to Picard maneuver up to your ship that had the cloaked mines so that you couldn't place them. Use Rom to gank your cloaked mines and posit on you. So his Excelsior was designed to take out your cloaked mines, which you didn't wind up actually using.
Yeah. And I think the Picard maneuver on that would have been enough to not let me use the cloaked mines if I didn't play them immediately. Like,
right.
He could, no matter what, if I had chose to use them on the first turn, he couldn't have done anything. So I think it was a bit overkill for cloaked mines. Is all.
Yeah. So that ended up being a pretty good round, even still. He was able to take out, which ship did he take out? The 1764?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that had some great cards on it too. So
yeah.
So, all right, cool. Well, Pete, you played Robert in the second round, and it looks like you were able to kill his entire fleet. How did it go for you?
He's new to the game, but he still put out a nice fleet. He had a good cohesive force. He was able to take out my largest hitting ship, which was great for him. Unfortunately, it didn't help by that time. And I got him.
Yeah, and that's one thing I noticed. Not only did he have a good fleet, but he had a plan on how he wanted to use it. Mm-hmm. I noticed that his Board of War, on which he had, whichever card allows you to aft phaser array. Is that the card that you can't use it when it's in the forward firing arc, but you can use it anywhere else?
Aft disruptor
emitters. So he was specifically flying that along the edge of the playing field and keeping it straightforward so that when he made it past, he would get that +1 attack die with it. Mm-hmm. While it's a strategy that was only going to have limited success, honestly, it was still. I'm worried about when he starts seeing and getting more cards and having more options, that he's really going to give us all a run for our money. That the guy's got a brain for this game. So
yeah,
it's great. Love to have new blood. Love to have new blood that's going to be talented. Bring on the challenge.
Absolutely.
We have a great group, and the thing that I think is keeping us from being the people who go and win nationals is our idea of let's play to make sure everyone's having a good time, not let's play to we have to win at all costs. Mm-hmm. And I think and
if we had other people show up that aren't in our normal gaming group, I would have played my main fleet because I would have wanted to give those people a run for their money so they could practice. But that didn't happen, so I was like, okay, cool, I get to play my fun fleet. And it's like the same. I'm thinking, we were all thinking that. I know you were thinking the same thing, Chris.
Yeah.
Or at least more or less.
So I will say something a little funny with playing Robert. Going into the game, apparently Timothy had kind of colored his thinking on the Kazon. He's like, I've heard terrible things about them. He didn't have a very high opinion of them. At the end of the game, I was like, did I maybe raise your opinion a little bit? And he's like, yeah, a little bit. So
you play them well, Pete. So
one of the things that Robert said to us as we were taking him home after the event was, he said, I lost all 3 games, but I learned a lot. And I think
Good.
for your first OP event, that's really what you're going for, and probably for your second and your third OP events as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a game where you're going to lose before you win.
Yeah.
So for those of you tallying along at home, let's see if I can do my math correctly this time. Chris and Danish both were 2-0 after the 2 rounds. Pete and Ryan were 1-1, and Timothy and Robert were 0-2 at this point. So that brings on round 3, which saw our 2-0 guys duke it out in what became a stalemate of epic proportions until like 2 minutes from the end. How did it go, gentlemen?
Oh, I made mistakes from the get-go. Like, I should have set up and taken out your Bellerophon first. I could have done it if I went first at that. But I didn't.
Yeah.
And I still could have done it if I had been smarter towards the end. But anyway.
But I'm not sure. I mean, my Bellerophon was really tough to take out. So and you weren't carrying like huge weapons. You were just carrying mid-range weapons. I'll tell you what. Beating Chris for me is like it's an event in and of itself. And for me, the fact that we duked it out, and it was an elevator all the way to the end. With Madrid, Chris was able to kill both of my captains. He killed Spock and he killed DeSoto.
And those are 2 personal favorites of mine. So
yeah, I mean they're great. They're great captains, and it sucked to see them go. Lee Nallis was the one who enabled Gul Madred to work twice, which was a neat trick. I hadn't seen that before. So that was cool. Deanna Troy,
I misused her.
Well, yeah, but you used her to disable some of my upgrades, which was...
I used Deanna Troy to disable DeSoto when I should have just not bothered and used her on Sulu, and I could have had Sulu disabled for 3 rounds. Which is why I said if I had focused on the Bellerophon for 3 rounds of not being able to Sulu, I probably could have taken it.
You'd have done a lot better, definitely against the Bellerophon. I'm still confident. I don't know. I still feel good about it.
I will say your fighters didn't do much for you in that game.
Well, you took your upgraded phasers and Type 8 phaser array, and in 1 turn you took my fighters out. Yeah. It was awful. So you took my phasers out. You took my fighters out in 1 turn. You Gul Madredded 2 of my captains. You faked message and lured me, and I still beat you.
Here's the thing, Danish. You beat me. You beat me with 1 ship.
That is true. One hampered ship because he didn't have his captain.
Yeah, and it was all because of the dorsal phaser array.
Yeah. Well, so this was the 1 round where I remembered I had a dorsal phaser array and I had Jennifer Cisco. Although Jennifer Cisco didn't do me much good against you because I just had to – I Cisco'd your Cisco and I think enhanced hull plating because why not?
It was Type 8 phasers that are my enhanced phasers, which I just re-enabled because I didn't move into attack range the first round. I wanted to be able to move your way. But
right. Yeah. My strategy was because you had fake messages in lure, I set up my ships near the middle of the map, and I just moved them 1 forward until you had fake message and lured me, and then I was like, okay, that's done. Let's get into the battle now.
Yeah. It was a great
It was
battle.
a nail biter.
Yeah,
it was a nail biter. Made it to the end.
Almost pulled it out with just trying to avoid as much as I could. It got down to like if I had been able to survive with the like 1,000 Ox power tokens being pulled around by my ship.
Yeah.
It was quite the Ox nest there.
It was definitely. I mean, we always joke about this, but it definitely looked like the scene from Galaxy Quest where at the climax where he drags all those mines behind him.
Yeah.
They were easy for the triangle shape too. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
You totally earned that excellent win. Congratulations, Danis. Well done.
I didn't want to have to choose between you. I mean, there is no choosing between you, honestly, gentlemen. But I was pulling for Chris on this one because of the way our battle went, Pete.
I flew your Kumari off the map. I would root against me too.
Well, no, it wasn't that so much as if Chris had won, then I would have gotten first place.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that was
Well,
that was what I was.
And that's why I was fighting so hard, because I knew if Chris won this one, then you and I would each be 2-1, and on points we were so darn close.
Yeah, we wouldn't. It would have been difficult to. It wouldn't. We wouldn't even have known until we actually sat down, and that's rough. But Pete and I played that round 3 together, and man, I am glad I chose that correct pulse firing particle cannon. I saw your fleet, Pete, with all those cards that give you pluses for this or pluses for that, or and those 180 arcs, which, by the way, were very useful in this scenario. I was really, really concerned about how it was going to go. But there are two, for those that don't know, there are 2 pulse-firing particle cannons that are Xindi weapons. And in one of them, they're both 4 points for 3 attack, but the text on one of them reads, after you make your initial attack, if you hit, you can make a second attack against the same target at half the dice rolled down or rounded down 1. I was able to, with Degra, boost it to 5, and with Kiafet Amon-Sor, boost that 1 more to 6, so that my second attack would have been at 3. But the other card states that for your second attack, you're only rolling -1 attack. And in addition, and there's this extra text that doesn't appear on the other card, the defender is rolling -1 defense on the second attack, which with your Kazon fleet meant that several times you were rolling 0 dice against my 11 attack in 1 round. And
it's astonishing to me that there's
harsh.
2 cards, same name, same cost, and the second one is so much better.
It's so drastic. I mean, it's so drastically different.
The Xindi have another set like that where it's the Subspace Vortex. In the drive event that we held a little over a month ago, Pete ran the one that's basically a warp jump. And at the same price, or maybe even a point less, there's another one that's basically Picard maneuver, but can do a 6, and you don't get the defensive, you don't get the minus.
No, but I think that's in addition to your maneuver. So you can move 4 and then 6. So you've moved 10 plus the base across the board.
So, I mean, this is something that we've seen, with photon torpedoes having different texts at the same time. I mean, this is, they could at least give them different names. But, Mark II, even,
Even the Xindi torpedoes, they have several different. I think they have maybe 3 different torpedo cards, and they're all called Xindi torpedoes. It's like, wait, am I running the 2-point version, the 3-point version? Which?
Yeah. And it makes it tough to keep if you're playing against someone. It makes it hard to follow what they're doing, and it's hard. Well, anyways, so that I think was really instrumental in helping me to turn the battle against you there, Pete. I did use Mirror Archer's text a lot, which allowed me to convert a crit to 2 hits. Nearly every time I rolled a crit, I did that because I would rather have 1 additional damage than pulling a crit card. And in my mind, that's a guaranteed 1 more damage than, well, it could be Warp Core, but it could be Jostled Navigator. I mean,
I will say, Danish lost a ship due to taking a damage from rolling the die on something in our game.
Yeah.
And I did take out one of your ships, and I don't remember which one it was at the moment.
I believe
I can tell you in a moment.
Well, it was 32 points, whatever it was.
Right, but
it was
also discards that got thrown in there.
It was the ISS Enterprise.
It was. That's what I thought.
And I'm not surprised that you went for that card there, and then I had that the weapon on that. Oh goodness, what is it called now? I'm completely blank.
Phaser Barrage.
Phaser Barrage, which I also, if I use Kiafet Amon-Sor, was able to get up to 6 dice on it. And with that one, you only have to roll 2 hits or crits on the initial unmodified dice in order to get an additional 3 attack. I mean, That's 9 attack all of a sudden for what is not a 9-point card, as you would expect. So, I mean, this was definitely bizarre. And none of my ships were more than 40 points. And with the Kumari supporting them, I don't know, Pete. I was worried about the Kazons, but it turns out they really are. Yeah. So, anyway, it was a fun round, I think. Mm-hmm. Not for you so much, maybe.
No, this was a very good tournament. I had a lot of fun playing. So,
yeah, I liked it too. Now, Timothy and Robert played against each other. Do any of you gentlemen want to speak to that? I did not get to witness that one at all.
No, not at all.
No, our game went to pretty much to the end of the time, so we didn't get to see it. Timothy won with a fleet kill. Robert got the Excelsior, and then 5 points from something.
Yeah,
maybe
I think from some discarded cards. Yeah. No, actually, Timothy wasn't playing with the resource. Yeah. All I know is that they had a good time. They actually knew each other's builds very well because they're good friends, and they had run their fleets against each other. So they knew each other's builds very well when they went into the battle.
Good.
And so with that third round, we had Danish with a win, Ryan with a win, and Timothy.
Yep.
Pete, tell us about the placings.
So overall, we had Danish come in first, and he chose as his prize Sella's Warbird.
Huzzah.
Yeah.
Ryan, as he mentioned earlier, did come in second. And he chose the Sakharov. I'm not sure what ship that is. Is that another?
That's the type something shuttle.
Type 6.
After
Type 6 shuttle. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We're gonna see shuttles being played now.
Well, Ryan already played Quark's Treasure in the last OP. So.
Yeah, but not the
devastating
way
effect.
that shuttles are used that I hate, which is to transfer crew and stuff and make ships that are more than 50 points.
At least, Chris, if I'm going to run a shuttlecraft, I'm going to forget what it does.
He's just going to fly in with that one attack die and see.
I'm shooting you.
Well, and then finally, in our results, Robert, our newest player, was awarded the Fellowship Prize, and he chose an OP blind booster from blind booster from the OP event, The Collective. So.
Right, he wound up with the Jaeger. Yeah.
Oh, he wound up with the Jaeger? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good.
It was a natural Jaeger. It was great. It's a 1%.
He's now the Jägermeister.
Yes. All right. So, looking back on this scenario and this event, would any of you like to play the obstacle scenario another time?
Oh yeah,
I thought it was fun. Yeah,
I wouldn't mind playing it again. I think the more you play this event, the more you get used to actually having the obstacles and realizing how you can use them best to your advantage.
Yeah, I didn't find that the obstacles came into too much of a thing. I used the derelict ship a couple times to remove an Ox token. And I did run through an obstacle twice during the day and took a couple of damage, but otherwise it was a maneuvering challenge primarily.
Yeah. Ryan, how about you?
I liked it. I also don't think that the obstacles came much into play. I really wasn't intending on trying to use them, with the exception of maybe the derelict ship taking an Ox power token on, which I did do. But for me, I had a pretty nimble fleet, and I enjoyed playing it. I actually might run this fleet again, even in outside of this OP. I enjoy it that much, with a couple of tweaks probably, and maybe not taking a red maneuver when I have an Ox power token.
Probably good strategy.
Yeah. So I liked it.
I'm going to make it unanimous, and I too would like to play this again. Even if it was just the obstacles without the added effects, I like the fact that they make you more concerned about your maneuvering.
Yeah. Because
when there's nothing on the field, it's too easy to just joust, and that's it.
Yeah, I don't like jousting, but it's all right.
While I do like the all we're doing is fighting aspect of this, where there's no go over here and get a mission token. It wasn't a straight joust, and that's what I liked. Well, once again, our website is tinyurl.com/STAWBB. Please go there and check out images, fleets, our old episodes. We got lots of goodies on there. And now to Pete in the newsroom. It's not a booth anymore. We got him his own room.
Awesome. I got an intro now. Cool. So our news for this week is that WizKids has announced the next card pack for, I guess, Wave 4 of the card packs is how they're doing it. Included in this round are going to be new Federation fighters and new cards for the Herosian Warship. So if you got an Alpha sitting idle, you got another ship.
I just bought an Alpha Hunter from a departing player in our group, and so I'm excited about having another option to play with it. And I love the Fed fighters, so having another named Fed fighter, that's a big win in my book.
And I'm interested to see what those squad cards are going to be.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I'll be playing a lot more Cloaked Minds. I'm really excited to see the Herosian ship. I am not as excited to see Fed fighters.
Yeah, I'd like to see the Herosian ship too. I just wonder what they're going to put out.
Well, I tell you, that's been a great show. Thank you, guys. And I took my family to go see the new Wonder Woman movie this weekend, and that was a lot of fun. Have you guys seen the Wonder Woman movie yet?
I did.
Spoilers.
I have not, so no spoilers, please.
No spoilers. But Pete, you saw it?
Oh yes, enjoyed it.
What'd you think?
Enjoyed it a lot.
A lot of good movie. A lot of fun. Sort of a bright and optimistic take on superheroes, which I think was badly needed in the DC movie universe. And so I close with that just to say this, that I'm really optimistic about both the state of Star Trek Attack Wing in our area and around the country and around the world, but I'm also optimistic about the state of Star Trek in general. I think we're living through a good period for Star Trek fans. And if you're listening to this podcast and you'd like to try Star Trek Attack Wing out, it's a fantastic game. If you're listening to this podcast, more than likely you already play Star Trek Attack Wing. I think this is a good time to be an Attack Wing player. There's good things coming, and not only that, but you've got a brand new awesome podcast from Star Trek Attack Wing Battle Bridge.
So in addition to your good things for our community, there's something called Tabletop Simulator, where you can download it. It's $20, but there is a free Star Trek Attack Wing applet for it, or module for it. And
have you played it, Chris?
I have not. I want to. I was listening to some people talk about it, and I realized which module you have to download. But if you're not in an area where you have people playing this, or you don't have a local gaming store that carries it, Tabletop Simulator's the way to go if you want to get your Star Trek on.
And you get that on Steam, I'm pretty sure. That's where it's available, right?
Yes, that's where I got it.
Yeah, Timothy is telling me that we got to get that, and I agree with him. So I'm looking forward to that.
All right, cool.
Well, thank you so much for listening to the Star Trek Attack Wing Battle Bridge. This has been episode number 6, reporting on the Unsanctioned Northeast Regional event. Thanks for listening, and we hope that you'll tune in again for our next event.
Program complete.